Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is not just another headline, it is a warning that has been ignored for years, dismissed by officials, buried under politics, and overshadowed by conflict. But now it can no longer be hidden. Iran's worst water doom has begun. What is unfolding across Iran right now is not a seasonal drought, not a temporary shortage, and not a problem that can be fixed with promises or speeches. This is a full-scale national crisis, a slow-moving disaster that is now accelerating into something far more dangerous. Rivers are disappearing, reservoirs are drying out, cities are rationing water, farmers are losing their livelihoods, and millions of people are waking up every day wondering how long clean water will still come out of their taps. For decades, Iran warned itself. Scientists warned the government. Environmental experts raised alarms. Farmers saw the signs first, but nothing changed. Now, the consequences have arrived, and they are unforgiving. This is the story of how a nation rich in history, culture, and people is being pushed toward collapse by one of the most basic elements of life, water. Iran is a country where water has always meant survival. From ancient Qanat systems to modern dams, civilizations rose and fell based on access to water. For thousands of years, Iranians engineered ways to bring underground water to the surface, carefully managing every drop in a land where rainfall was never guaranteed. But that balance is now broken. Today, Iran is facing what experts call a water bankruptcy. The country is using far more water than nature can replace. Groundwater reserves that took thousands of years to form are being drained in just a few decades. Lakes that once stretched to the horizon are now cracked plains of salt and dust. Rivers that supported cities and agriculture have been reduced to polluted trickles or have vanished entirely. One of the most shocking examples is Lake Urmia. Once the largest lake in the Middle East, it was a symbol of natural beauty and regional pride. Now, more than 90% of it has dried up. Where there was once water, there is now salt. Toxic salt storms blow across nearby towns, damaging crops, causing respiratory illness, and making entire areas nearly unlivable. And Lake Urmia is not alone. Across Iran, the same story is repeating. The Zayende-Rud River, which flows through the historic city of Isfahan, has run dry multiple times. Bridges that once stood over flowing water now cross empty riverbeds. Farmers protest in desperation as their fields turn to dust. Urban residents face water cuts that last hours, sometimes days. Tehran, a megacity of more than 10 million people, is now under serious threat. Its reservoirs are shrinking at alarming rates. Groundwater beneath the city is collapsing, literally. Parts of Tehran are sinking as aquifers are emptied, causing land subsidence that damages buildings, roads, and infrastructure. Some areas are sinking by more than 20 centimeters a year, one of the fastest rates in the world. This is not just an environmental problem. This is a political, economic, and social time bomb. Iran's water crisis is the result of multiple forces colliding at once. Climate change has reduced rainfall and increased temperatures, making droughts more frequent and more intense. But climate alone did not create this disaster. Decades of mismanagement have turned a difficult situation into a catastrophic one. Massive dam building projects were launched without proper environmental studies. Rivers were diverted to serve political interests rather than ecological balance. Water. Intensive crops like wheat and sugar beets were promoted in arid regions where they never should have been grown. Groundwater extraction was allowed to spiral out of control. Millions of legal and illegal wells were drilled across the country. Farmers facing economic pressure and lack of alternatives, pumped deeper and deeper, draining aquifers faster than they could ever recover. What once was a hidden reserve became a last resort, and now even that last resort is running dry. As water disappears, so does stability. In many rural areas, farming is no longer possible, crops fail, livestock die, families who have lived on the land for generations are forced to leave. This has triggered a massive wave of internal migration, with people flooding into already overcrowded cities in search of work and water. But cities cannot absorb everyone. Urban water systems are already under strain. Aging infrastructure leaks enormous amounts of water before it ever reaches homes. Power outages disrupt pumping stations. Rationing becomes unavoidable. In some regions, people receive water only a few hours a day. When water runs out, tensions rise. Protests have already erupted in multiple provinces. In Khuzestan, one of Iran's hottest regions, demonstrations over water shortages turned deadly. People chanted for water, not politics. But the response was forceful. Similar unrest has spread to other areas, showing that water scarcity can ignite social anger faster than almost any other issue. Water is not like fuel or electricity. You can survive without those for a time, but without water, life stops almost immediately. Hospitals struggle to maintain sanitation, schools close, food prices rise as agriculture collapses. Industries shut down, unemployment increases, poverty deepens. Every part of society is affected. And the worst part is this: many experts believe Iran has already crossed critical thresholds. Some groundwater aquifers are so depleted that they will never recover, even if pumping stops entirely. Land subsidence is irreversible. Saltwater intrusion has contaminated freshwater sources along coastal areas. Ecosystems have collapsed beyond repair. This means that even if dramatic reforms begin today, the damage will continue for years, possibly decades. The government has acknowledged the crisis, but actions remain limited and inconsistent. Officials speak of conservation, but water-intensive projects continue. Citizens are told to reduce usage, yet systemic waste remains unaddressed. Farmers are blamed, even though policies encouraged unsustainable farming for decades. Trust is eroding. Many Iranians no longer believe official promises. They see reservoirs shrinking with their own eyes. They feel taps running dry. They breathe dust from dried lake beds. Reality is impossible to deny, and this crisis does not stop at Iran's borders. Regional tensions are growing as shared rivers become contested lifelines. Afghanistan, Iraq, and other neighboring countries are also facing water stress. As Iran diverts or restricts flows, downstream communities suffer, increasing the risk of diplomatic conflict and instability. In a region already shaken by war, sanctions, and economic hardship, water scarcity adds another layer of danger. The international community watches, but largely from a distance. Sanctions complicate access to technology and investment needed for modern water management. Climate change accelerates faster than adaptation efforts. Meanwhile, ordinary people pay the price. Women often bear the heaviest burden managing household water shortages. Children suffer from poor sanitation and malnutrition. Elderly populations face health risks during extreme heat waves without reliable water supply. This is not a future scenario. This is happening now. Every summer is worse than the last. Heat records are broken. Rainfall becomes more unpredictable. Snowpack in the mountains, once a natural water reserve, melts too early or not enough at all. Iran's worst water doom has begun not with a sudden collapse, but with a slow, grinding breakdown of systems that once held society together. The question now is not whether Iran will face severe consequences. That is already certain. The real question is how deep the crisis will go, and whether it will trigger broader instability that reshapes the country's future. Can large cities remain livable without reliable water? Can agriculture survive in its current form? Can social order hold when basic needs are no longer met? History shows that civilizations rarely collapse overnight. They weaken gradually, under pressure from forces they fail to control or adapt to. Water scarcity has played a role in the fall of empires before, and it may do so again. Iran stands at a crossroads, but the road behind it is already burning. Unless radical changes are made, unless water is treated not as a political tool, but as a national survival priority, the coming years could bring deeper unrest, mass displacement, and irreversible damage. This is not just Iran's story, it is a global warning. As climate change accelerates and populations grow, many countries may soon face similar nightmares. Iran is simply among the first to reach this breaking point. And as the taps run dry, one truth becomes painfully clear. Without water, power means nothing, borders mean nothing, and promises mean nothing. Because water is life, and in Iran today, life itself is under threat. If you found this report important, stay with us, because this crisis is far from over, and the world is only beginning to understand the true cost of running out of water.